We continue our interpretation of Jeffrey Pfeffer's 7 Rules of Power. This is the final part, where we reveal a major secret about power. As long as you don't expose your weaknesses, you won't face retaliation. There's a tycoon named Gary Winnick, who started out selling junk securities, then founded his own company, but mismanaged it. Just before the company went bankrupt, he secretly sold off $738 million worth of his own stock, without informing other shareholders. Essentially, he sold the ship before it sank. Then, after the company went bankrupt, Winnick paid $55 million to compensate shareholders and employees, and donated $25 million to the U.S. Department of Labor to settle the matter. So, Winnick illegally made over $700 million, spent $80 million, and was left with over $600 million, without any consequences. Not only that, he transformed into a philanthropist, received honorary doctorates from universities, mingled with celebrities and politicians, and adorned his living room with photos of himself, with presidents and popes firmly entrenched in high society. So, where's the catch? Pfeffer lists several similar instances. Notorious sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein, after being arrested and released from prison, continued to socialize with various tycoons, including Bezos, Musk, and Bill Gates. Business celebrity, Martha Stewart served 5 months in prison for insider trading, yet upon her release, she continued to be a life mentor, and department stores still used her to promote their brands. CEOs of several Silicon Valley companies, whether for financial misconduct or sexual harassment of subordinates, were swiftly ousted, but quickly secured substantial investments to make a comeback. Some CEOs faced no consequences whatsoever after violations. This doesn't align with public perception. If you suddenly become the CEO of a major company one day, your parents would probably advise you, "Child, you're a public figure now, many eyes are watching you. You must hold yourself to high standards, because with great power comes great responsibility. You must tread carefully, not like those wastrels, because one misstep could ruin everything, right?" Well, they're mistaken. In reality, if you have money and power, you can get away with a lot. You don't need to worry too much about making mistakes, because the likelihood of punishment is low, and even if you are punished, it won't be severe. In fact, not doing anything wrong is the wrong approach. It's a waste of your prerogative to break the rules. The correct approach is to do whatever it takes to gain power, even if it means committing some original sins. Because once you have power, those sins will be forgotten or forgiven. This leads us to the 7th rule of power. You must use any means necessary to acquire power, and not worry too much about breaking the rules in the process. Because if you are punished later, it won't be because you broke the rules, but because you lost power. Rationally, if you have power, people not only refrain from attacking you, but also willingly support you. Yes, being in a position of authority means you're under scrutiny, the media loves to pick apart your flaws, and ordinary people gossip about you. But please note, those are all people distant from power. Those who are close to power, those who can truly influence your fate, won't go looking for trouble. Because they're insiders. Remember, when we talked about game theory? People in high society flatter each other, those in the middle compare each other, and those in the lower class trample each other. The circle of power and wealth is a place of mutual flattery and advancement. A journalist from ProPublica conducted an interesting study and found that prosecutors tend to go easy on cases involving the wealthy. They don't want to offend the wealthy or their defense attorneys. Why? Because prosecutors often plan to accumulate enough experience to become defense attorneys themselves. And defense attorneys make much more money. They don't want to make enemies with their future partners. More generally, people are reluctant to betray their circle. The wealthy and powerful are particularly mindful of their circles. Charity events are opportunities to mingle with the elite and make friends. These people always protect each other's interests, as sacrifices are never made on their own behalf. You might ask, does having power mean you can do whatever you want? Not entirely. Many powerful people do get taken down eventually, but Pfeffer points out if you examine how they are taken down, it's often due to relentless pursuit by a reporter, a common person, someone determined to uphold justice, overcoming numerous obstacles. Consider how difficult it is to take them down, and you'll realize it doesn't happen often. Support from the powerful, for power is rational, while support from the common people is emotional. Pfeffer lists 3 psychological mechanisms to explain why ordinary individuals, despite having no direct stake, tend to believe in and endorse authority. One mechanism is cognitive consistency, which means believing that good things should be all good, and someone successful must be virtuous in every aspect. When you see someone who's wealthy, powerful, and successful, you tend to imagine them as capable, virtuous, intelligent, and hardworking, just like the protagonists in romance novels. The second mechanism is the just world hypothesis. We tend to believe the world is just. Someone succeeds because they've done something right. Someone fails because they've done something wrong. We believe that following the rules will be rewarded, and breaking them will be punished. The just world hypothesis leads to 2 fallacies. First is the idolization of successful individuals. Biographies of celebrities, especially political figures, often portray them as visionary and flawless, every word they say profound. Second is the condemnation of failures. You might think a person must have done something wrong, meet such a fate. Otherwise, how could others succeed? The third mechanism is moral rationalization and moral decoupling. Moral rationalization means finding excuses for someone who clearly did something wrong. Saying they didn't mean to, they had no choice, their actions were justified, or their role was minimal. To exonerate them. Moral decoupling means separating a person's morality from their abilities. Bill Clinton did have an inappropriate relationship with a White House intern, but that doesn't matter. I support him for his political beliefs, I'm not interested in his personal life. Under this logic, sexual assault, misconduct, and illegal activities don't matter, as long as the person can make money and hold office. Consider how common these 3 mechanisms are. Aspiring youth idolize businessmen, the underprivileged defend politicians, fans idolize celebrities. Isn't it all the same? When rationality combines with emotion, the result is that power automatically attracts support. So as long as you hold significant power, as long as timing and circumstance are on your side, you're extremely safe, and your flaws won't touch you. When Donald Trump was running for president, a senator from South Carolina named Graham constantly criticized him. He called Trump a weirdo, a lunatic, insisting that such a person could never be president. But once Trump was elected, Graham immediately became his most loyal supporter, praising him constantly. Why? Because he needed Trump's support for his own campaign. These people have no shame. Moreover, once you have power, you can actively shape your image. The simplest way is through charity. Not only do you donate money, but you also establish charitable foundations in your name, loudly engage in numerous charitable activities. Not only does it promote your image, but it also helps you integrate into the elite circle. Some people believe that charity is essentially a mechanism for atonement. An even more effective method is to rewrite history directly. Publish an autobiography, attribute all the successes solely to yourself, ignore any wrongdoing, portray yourself as a consistently sincere, benevolent hero. And what if those involved in your past come forward to correct you? Don't worry, their voices will be much quieter than yours. Remember, when ordinary people read celebrity biographies, what they want is a success story. They don't really care about accuracy. As long as you talk about vision, narrate well, inspire, make your employees proud, and earn the approval of investors, everyone will be happy. Of course, sometimes those in power do get punished, but it's not a common occurrence. Overall, it's not what you've done in the past that's feared, but rather the loss of power. Once you lose power, supporters will leave, you'll feel a profound sense of loss, and your flaws might even be exposed. There's a saying in China: living in poverty, no one asks. Being wealthy in seclusion, distant relatives appear. And John F. Kennedy also said, victory has 1,000 fathers, but defeat is an orphan. This may be why some people cling to power until death. In conclusion, this is a world that is very friendly towards power. That concludes the sharing of this book. Before we finish, I'd like to share some insights. I believe power is a product of human cognitive flaws. Power exists because people are willing to follow blindly. If everyone were scientists, basing their actions solely on logic and facts, agreeing with you on a course of action would simply be because they also see it as right, not a display of power. Power is when you're told to do something, and you do it, even if you don't understand. You don't understand, yet you still obey. Isn't that blind obedience? Behind every rule of power is a condition, blind allegiance. When faced with uncertainty, people don't dare to make decisions on their own. They rely on others to decide for them, even to the point of blind trust, and this cognitive flaw leads to power. So, the essence of the power game is finding ways to exploit others' cognitive flaws. To put it plainly, it's bullying the honest, taking advantage of others' ignorance. It's because most people give up their autonomy, willingly allowing themselves to be manipulated, that a small group of people gains power. I hope you become part of that small group, able to win in the game of power. We shouldn't hand the world mover to those whose only pursuit is grabbing power. If, by chance, you don't gain power, that's okay too. After all, most people are like that. This book serves a function, for the majority of people, to demystify power. It's the adoration of power, by ordinary people that inflates the egos of those in power. If we know how these people rose to power, if we understand how the power game is played, then they won't seem so extraordinary to us. At the very least, if someone tries to play power games with you next time, knowing exactly what they're up to allows you to rationally decide whether to cooperate or not. Let's all be straightforward. Simply put, if it's mutually beneficial, sure, we can both win. If it's not in my favor, you can't trick me.
If you feel there is value in this, please like, subscribe to this channel, and leave your thoughts or suggestions in the comments section. Let's grow together and read more good books.